Anyway, you mind if we take a quick break? Ready to dive in? Yep.
Now that I have every beverage in the world again.
There you go. Here we go. All right. So you're going to love this one. So this guy, Patrick Bet David, has a podcast. I think he's got 1.4 million subscribers, something like that. Anyway, this is like a short clip, like a TikTok kind of clip. Now, for those of you who've never seen this show, Lacey and I both big proponents of education. We think it's a very important cornerstone of our society. So did the forefathers, right? They believed you should have an education so you could be a better voter because you'd be informed, right? Well, Patrick Bet David's going to tell you why you shouldn't send your kids to college. And you're going to love this. Because it's the ultimate conservative straw man bullshit. It's so great. All right, here he is. Yelling at somebody, which is what he usually seems to be doing.
I'm going to go out there and persuade and manipulate your kids. I'm going to get your kids to believe in my philosophies and divide your kids against you, and you're not even going to know it. I'm going to be so smooth about it where all of a sudden it's too late. One of my guys that work for me, a C-suite executive, him and his daughter were like this. He spends $200,000 to send his daughter to the school in Chicago. I won't name it, but goes to the school. He says, every year my daughter came back, she hated me more. Second year more. Third year, all she would call me is, how could you be such a greedy capitalist to vote for such and such person? He says, after the fourth year, my daughter never came back home. She went straight to California. I lost my daughter. So let me get this straight. I spent $200,000, gave it to an institution that doesn't pay taxes on it, and has got a cash cow of an endowment they're sitting on so they can steal my daughter away from me. That doesn't mean it's permanent, but I may have lost my daughter with me for 10 years.
Okay, so that's just stupid. First off, $200,000 at a school has an endowment. It's a private school. It's not a public school.
Right.
Not a public college.
Okay. Let's talk about human development for a moment.
Let's take a minute.
So, I'm not going to start you off at the beginning of human development because that's unnecessary to this. But let's fast forward. Let's see. First year of college. People that have family support in some way, etc., and aren't just automatically independent, frequently, when local enough, go home a lot. They are more still involved with their families. Second year, they become more involved in their own community, more independent, but probably still a fair amount of attachment to home. By the time you're done with college, you're 4 or 5, whichever it is for your situation.
Right. You'd agree.
You're usually pretty independent at that point.
Yeah.
And most people I know, unless their goal was they wanted to go back and serve their particular community they grew up in, go move somewhere related to whatever the field is or job they got or whatever. They don't go back to their parents' house. That's not even the thing. And college has always been something that has given young people the opportunity to formulate their own ideologies, which is almost always some sort of departure from their parents, even if they remain on the same side of the political fence.
Yeah.
It's usually a departure from their parents.
Well,
am I missing something here?
No. I think the other thing is he kind of gives away the game right at the beginning where he talks about, I'm going to manipulate your kids and be so smooth. And it's like, but that's what you're talking about. The guy's daughter goes and gets an education. She disagrees with him, right? I'm sorry. If your 22-year-old daughter disagrees with you and you can't suck it up as a 40 or 50-year-old man to try and maintain that relationship, I have a hard time blaming the 22-year-old whose brain isn't still fully developed. Because that doesn't happen until your mid-20s. No, if you're a 40 or 50-year-old man, it's your job to maintain that relationship. They're still young. They're still naive, right? I mean, I wasn't, I didn't feel like a full adult and in control of my life till I was almost 30. I'm just giving an example. But my point is that's the thing is he's a grown adult. She's a 22-year-old woman, right? She's still really young. right? The problem he has is, oh no, my daughter got an education and now she disagrees with me, so she doesn't want to deal with me anymore. Well, part of that is not that she disagrees with you, it's how you handle it. You know, I have a friend,
Right.
he's an atheist. His son is a born-again Christian. His son has literally told him, you're going to hell and all this shit. And yet, he still has a good relationship with his son. I mean,
probably because he's not elected to alienate his son on the basis of that one particular belief. He's opted to find the things they can connect on and focus on those, I'm going to guess.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, so basically what he's saying is this guy who works for me who sent his daughter to this school is an asshole. His daughter became aware of the fact that he's an asshole and that she doesn't want to deal with him anymore. Now, the implication is the university taught her to hate her father. Right? Well, wait a minute. We don't know what
I must have missed that class.
Yeah. No.
Did you put the hate my dad class?
No, I disagree with my dad on a lot of things, but I still get along with my father, still talk to my father all the time. But my point is in fact, we're going golfing this weekend. Anyway, so the point is that it's just funny to me because the thing that he's missing is the college didn't do that, right? The fact that she became an adult did that. And because she has her own thoughts and ideas. What he's suggesting about the manipulating of the kids is don't educate your kids so they never have their own thoughts and ideas. It's just your thoughts and ideas. Because that's all they ever have or are exposed to.
Keep all of yours.
Right. Just keep them in that bubble.
Never have any of their own. Right.
Because here's the thing. We don't know what his daughter's major was. She majored in business. She's not doing a lot of politics. She could be getting that from her friends, the people she socializes with, not necessarily the university. Right? Plus, I can tell you this, as somebody who went to a public school and then did my grad school at private schools tend to be a lot more conservative. Just in general. Public schools tend to be a lot more liberal, but private schools tend to be a lot more conservative because they have to deal with their donors, and their donors tend to be people with a lot of money or businesses with a lot of money, which tend to be a little bit more conservative. That's just kind of the way of the world. Right? But that's my whole thing. I think it's hilarious because he's trying to imply that it was the college, that there's something nefarious going on at the college. When really it's your friend's probably just an asshole and his daughter realized it and now she doesn't want to be associated with it. Because for all we know, she was a freaking theater arts major and knows nothing about politics other than what her friends talk about or what she reads.
Right.
We don't know the university taught her anything about it. I mean...
Well, and quite frankly, sometimes I think what happens is, people go to college or go somewhere and get a different life experience.
Right.
Which is a different sort of version of education. It may not be even anything that's happened in a classroom. You get a different life experience, and it makes you look at the communities and social circles and family structures that you were in with different eyes.
Right.
Maybe you appreciate parts of them more. Maybe some of the parts of them you go, oh,
yeah.
What was I thinking about and participating in that I only saw through one lens, and you start to see them through different lenses, and you start to, again, appreciate some things more and really not appreciate other things more. And that's just a part of having more life experiences, traveling some places, meeting people with different religions from you,
right.
Different political views from you. Some you think are jackasses, some of which you're like, you are so different from me, but you are super interesting. And I've never thought about it that way before.
Right. Well, that's the point is you're going to a university, lots of different types of people, lots of different backgrounds, lots of different ideas and arguments and opinions. You're in classes, you're reading books you'd never ever read if you didn't go to college. Right?
Right.
And
wouldn't have a reason to know they even existed.
Right. And now that what you thought about the world which is a lot of it was from whatever community you were from or what your parents thought. Now you're getting all these different perspectives. You're starting to form your own ideas. And that's what he's really scared of here is
because it's no longer just the perspective of the parents and family unit.
Right.
It's about the family unit perspective and the community I grew up in perspective and all these different kinds of people I've met and like things I read in different books, all of that.
Yeah, but that's the thing is now I'm getting a lot of different ideas. I'm no longer in the bubble. Right? I've had to step out of the bubble to get an education, which is the point of getting an education, is it forces you to step out of that bubble. Otherwise, we'd all still believe in witchcraft and shit. Right? Because that's how that's persisted, is you lived in a small town and, you know, your parents believed that vampires and witches were real and you grew up with that. And so you thought it was real. And then you finally...
I mean, witches totally are real, but that vampire stuff, that's me.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, that's the thing is like, people believed that for centuries and centuries. And then what happened? They learned how to read and write. And they went to schools and they went to cities and they met other people. And they're telling them about, oh, yeah, witches and vampires. And these people are like, no. That's ridiculous. The vampire thing? Yeah, sure. It's tuberculosis, buddy. It's not vampirism. Oh, man. But anyway, I just thought that was funny because it's like, dude, it's just the whole... Your friend's an asshole. And his daughter realized it. I don't know what else you can say. I mean... He doesn't really have an argument. It's just that's what it was.